Now,
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our SILC meeting for today. First thing we're going to do is
mute my audio submenu. Start video. Mute my audio.
so if Wendy, if you could do roll call for us, please. Wendy, are you there?
Looks like she's trying to unmute.
Julie Weiss, 1. Welcome. Roll call and introductions. Actions available.
I don't know if you can hear me. I cannot hear other people. I'm trying different variations to see if I can get sound, but currently I have no sound.
We can hear you now. Can you hear us?
Let me message her in the background. Hold on.
Okay.
One notification. Calendar. 3 minutes ago. Yes. Tacoma. When prompted to provide a meeting ID. Enter.
She's going to go ahead and call in at this time as a backup so that she can hear what's going on. So let's just give her 1 minute here. While we're waiting for her to call in, I suppose I could probably do roll call.
Sounds great. Let's do that.
Okay. So does someone, oh, okay.
That was me.
Okay. I know there are some excused absences today, so I'll go ahead and name those excused absences. Julie Weissman Steinbach could not make it. It's hard to do this and let people in the room at the same time. Obioma officer also could not make it. And I know there was one more. Oh, it was Dee Dee, but she's here. Okay. So I will call your name and just say here if you are here. Ace Patrick.
Present.
Saber McWhorter Clark. I did not see her. Vicky Esner.
Audio now unmuted.
Present.
Kate Ostie, I did not see her either. Renee Portnell.
I'm here.
Thank you. Dee Dee Formaster.
Present.
Raquel O'Neill. Yeah, I didn't think she was here either. Linda Voda,
I'm here.
Peter Whittingham,
Yeah.
Mary Evilsizer, yeah, she's not here either yet. Jennifer Kane,
I am here, and I just want to let you know I'm going to be switching from my computer to my phone at about 3 o'clock. So when you see an 818 area code number come up, that's me.
thank you. And Cheyenne Pasquale will be in a little bit late, she informed me. And that's it.
All right, so do we have quorum?
We do, we have quorum at least for the first couple hours or so.
Well, we better get as much done as we can then, right?
Yes, I know there's a couple
Um,
people who have to leave a little early.
Well, let's try and get as much as we can before we lose quorum. Next, Don, can you read the for the first participant, that word always gets me.
Yes.
I sure can. So, for public comment,
There we go.
no action may be taken upon a matter raised under public comment period unless the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an action item. To provide public comment telephonically, dial 1-253-215-8782, US Tacoma. When prompted to provide the meeting ID, enter 929-904-1434 and passcode 707401. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Persons making comments will be asked to begin by stating their name for the record and to spell their last name and provide the secretary with written comments.
All right, thank you, Don. Is there anybody who wants to speak on anything that's an agenda item for our first public comment?
This is Cynthia Swanson. I have tried to raise my hand, but it's not going up. So I'm asking if I could have a minute for public comment, please.
Is this for an agenda item or?
No.
Is the first one just for agenda items, Don, or can we do a regular? Is it regular?
Oh, no, it's regular public comment. Anyone can comment at this time.
Okay, well, go ahead, Cynthia.
Thank you very much. Most people know me by Cindy. The last name is spelled S as in Sam, W-A-N-S-O-N, and I am in Southern Nevada. And I actually have an issue for which I'm looking for a home, and that is called the No Wrong Door. And I didn't understand what that was until a couple of weeks ago, and then it was explained to me. I am told that there is money available to create this No Wrong Door system, but it's kind of, languished. And from a personal standpoint, my family has gotten about 10 emails this week from our DRC and Medicaid saying, yes, Adam is on the waiver. Oh, no, he's not on the waiver. And it went back and forth. So I think whatever this No Wrong Door might do, I think it would be good to move on it. And I thank you all for listening and doing your good work. Thank you.
So, Don, will you look into this No Wrong Door thing for us?
Sorry, someone just tried to call me right at that moment. This is Dawn Lyons. No Wrong Door there is a steering committee that's been formed, Aging and Disability Services. And I would speak for Cheyenne right now, but I can ask her. She said she'll be here later, so perhaps she can explain better than me. But No Wrong Door has been housed in Aging and Disability Services for a while now, many years, I think. And they're looking to improve it as far as I understand it. There's a steering committee and I'm a part of that steering committee, but we've only had one meeting so far. So I'm not sure exactly where that's headed or exactly what the changes will be, but that's as much as I know for now.
Okay, so we'll ask Cheyenne about that when she comes in. Cynthia, thank you for your public comment. Is there anybody else with public comment for this first public comment session?
Renee Portnell has her hand up, Evander.
Okay, Renee.
Thank you. The spelling of my last name is Portnell, first name Renee. But what I want to say has nothing to do with SILC yet. We'll see. But my daughter, oldest daughter, finally got a job, and it'll start next week. She has to finish all the paperwork and whatnot on Friday, but she will be working for the Boys and Girls Club. And we've been trying since the day she graduated from high school to get that kid a job. Does somebody let her step over the door and come in and accept her for her unique disabilities, as she calls it? But I wanted to let everybody know we finally got it. And I'm so happy for her. Thank you.
Congratulations, Renee. And we're very happy for your daughter too. Is there anyone else who wants to speak during public comment?
Vicky Esner has her hand up.
Okay, Vicky Esner.
Press CMD plus tilde to read pop-up in lower hand. Zoom.us has new.
Vicky, you just muted yourself.
Press CMD plus tilde to read pop-up in lower hand. Zoom.us
Hi.
has new window.
I'm going to patiently wait. Can you hear me now?
We can.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to come on for a quick second and thank you for all of you for showing me grace during this time with my husband's health condition. He's still here with me as a blessing on hospice. And I want to thank all of you for your extended love, prayers, and grace. And I will be attending as many meetings as I can moving forward. So thank you.
You're very welcome. And we're always going to be here for you. So just if you need us, contact Don and or myself, and we'll see what we can do. Okay. Thank you for joining our meeting today. Is there anyone else with any public comment for this session?
I do not see any additional hands up, Vander.
Seeing no hands, we're going to move on to the approval of the minutes for last meeting. Is there anyone who has any corrections or omissions before we approve them? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Hey, press CMD.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Do we need a motion for that first?
Oh, we probably do, huh? Can I get a motion to approve our minutes for last meeting?
This is Renee Portnell. I'll approve the last meeting. Lost my train of thought.
Just say so moved, Renee.
Okay, so moved. Thank you.
I second that. This is Linda Vivoda.
Thank you. And we've already done the vote, so motion approved.
Actions available.
Next for approval is
Member introductions and public
member introductions or people who want to be on our statewide independent living council. Is there anyone who wants to be on the statewide independent living council? Or Don, do we have any new members for our SILC council?
This is Dawn Lyons. We do not have any newly appointed members, but I didn't hear from anybody who had shown any interest necessarily. I got a couple emails, but they never got back to me when I responded. So I'm not sure if they're still interested. Hopefully they'll be in touch later, but I don't see anyone here that has informed me that they would like to introduce themselves and become a member.
Okay, great. So definitely we are always accepting and looking for members who are down for our mission and would like to help serve the community. So please reach out to people, let them know about SILC, and let's grow our committee. Okay. Next, yes,
Before we move on, I guess this falls under this agenda item, if I may speak.
of course you can.
This is Dawn Lyons. I just wanted to mention that the recruitment notice for our youth outreach specialist went out yesterday in the email. I posted it on our website in a couple different places on our news feed and under the Join the Youth Action Council tab. If you know anybody between the ages of 17 and 32 who might be interested in leading youth advocacy for SILC or for in the independent living community, please let me know or have them reach out. We're really looking for as many candidates as possible, and really excited to say that this position, even though it's contracted, will be approximately 30 to 40 hours per week, depending on how much work they want to do, and it'll be a little flexible. So it's a really unique opportunity for maybe someone who's recently graduated high school or college, so it's just, I'm really excited about this because it's partly funded by the grant program that is through the Department of Education that Jennifer described to us last week, or last meeting, and also partially funded by the DD Council for their transitions. So I'm really excited to partner with everybody involved. And this is huge for the SILC. So let us know if you know anybody who might be interested. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on to our the agenda number 5, and we're going to do the Center for Independent Living updates. So is there anyone from Southern Nevada Center for Independent Living?
This is Dawn Lyons. I believe that Mary submitted some talking points for her updates. That's probably because she knew she wouldn't be able to come, but I didn't get a notice from her that she wasn't coming. So I'm not sure if maybe she didn't know. But I would suggest that we read those talking points that she submitted as a material, and then we can also, anyone can always email her with any questions.
Okay, let's do that. You want to read them?
Do you want me to read it out loud now?
I would like that. Thank you.
Okay, give me a minute to pull that up.
You know what, Don? Let's do that one last to give you time to pull it up, and let's move on to the Northern Nevada Center for Independent Living.
Oh, they don't have anything actually. They didn't submit any talking points, and there is no one here from the Northern Center to give us an update. But I did pull that material up so I can read the Southern Nevada.
Oh, you already did it, so let's do it then.
Okay. Submitted by Mary Evilsizer, SNCIL Executive Director. Her first bullet point says CIL trends in Clark County, Nevada, based on service requests during the 4th quarter. Number 1, housing. Currently open until further notice, HUD mainstream voucher. And eligibility includes must be referred by referring agency, not open to the public. For example, SNCIL is a referring agency, and you can contact SNCIL at 702-889-4216 or SNCIL at sncil.org to request a pre-eligibility assessment. Assessment must be completed by SNCIL staff prior to referral. Must have any form of permanent disability. Must be age 18 and prior to age 62, will not be eligible once they turn 62. Need a state ID, social security card, statement of current benefits. Must have the capacity to provide a list of current assets and complete all paperwork within 30 days. And if the individual does not have SSA benefits, must provide a form signed by a physician stating the individual has a permanent disability. Number 2, transportation. Number 3, assistive technology. Number 4, vocational services. And number 5, personal care attendant services. The second bullet is youth transition scholarship. I think she was gonna give us an update on that, but it doesn't say any more about that in detail, so we can always ask her to update us a little more on that later. Next bullet is 32nd Disability Awareness Day and Vaccine Clinic is scheduled for Saturday, October 7th, 2023. That's this Saturday. Oh, Raquel's joining us. Let me let her in. And it looked like Sabra's joined us too. Thank you. So yeah, Disability Awareness Day event is this Saturday at the Sammy Davis Jr. Pavilion. If anyone has any questions about that, I have that information. I can give that to you through email or on phone or through text. I will put that information in the chat after I read this. And the upcoming training for housing conference in Las Vegas and the April conference. And I've given you those dates in the past, but if you need them again, you can reach out to me for those too. The other thing, oops, I didn't mean to skip this, the DIF grant, which is what I was just talking about from the Department of Education's application through RSA. It's a huge, you know what, Jennifer, I'm going to let you describe that.
You want me to do that now or later, just right now?
Well, she had it on her list of bullet points, so I'm assuming maybe you can just give a summary, basically, and then in case anyone missed it last time you explained it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So at the beginning of April, the RSA, the Rehabilitation Services Administration at the federal level, put out and let us know that they were going to be doing a grant. It's through the DIF, or Disability Innovation Fund, and it's called Pathways to Partnerships. So if you're following the acronym, that's DIF P2P, and then it's for model demonstration projects. And the overarching theme is getting states to truly seamless transition. And so the only two entities who were allowed to be the actual applicants and apply were either State Department of Education, state education agencies like the Nevada Department of Education where I work, or state vocational rehabilitation agencies. So we met with our partners at vocational rehabilitation here in Nevada, and it was determined that because we at the Department of Ed, we do sub awards of sub grants on a regular basis because we're constantly the flow through of taking federal monies and giving them to school districts, for example, or to Nevada's Parent Training and Information Center, Nevada PEP. And we have all these different entities that we already do sub awards with. And so VR is not set up in Nevada with that fiscal structure. So it was determined by the two agencies who could apply, that the Nevada Department of Education Office of Inclusive Education, that's my acronyms there next to my name, NDEOIE, that we would be the ones who would formally apply. And so we brought together, there were 4 required partners. Again, the State Education Agency, State Vocational Rehabilitation Agency. This is the first time, to my knowledge, that the feds have put out a grant that made a required partner out of the federally funded Centers for Independent Living. So you had to have at least one of them in your state be part of the grant. We opted to ask both, the Northern Nevada Center for Independent Living and the Southern Nevada Center for Independent Living, and they both accepted. And then the 4th partner had to be local education agencies, or what most of you probably refer to as school districts. So again, you had to have one, and we brought 3 on board to do the pilot and kind of get the program up and running with us. Then we also went outside of the required partners, and we wanted to have the Nevada System for Higher Education represented, because we all know to get to truly seamless transition, we need to think about employment, we need to think about independent living, but we also know that post-secondary education and training is a component. So we brought the Nevada Center for Excellence in Disabilities through the University of Nevada, Reno on board. We brought the Nevada Parent Training and Information Center, Nevada PEP on board. And we asked Dawn if the Nevada SILC would be willing to join us in this effort. So where 4 partners are required, we actually have 9 in Nevada. And I think that helped our application stand out. 5 different people reviewed our application, and the scores, I think it came out to like 94.4%, and all of them scored it as 95 or 96. There was just one outlier at 91 that brought us down a tiny bit, but we still got great accolades. And the number one thing that all of the reviewers said was that they could tell based on the partners that were willing to come to the table to write for the grant on this crazy short timeline. There were states that ended up not applying because they couldn't get the required partners. And not only did we bring the required partners, but then we more than doubled bringing folks who weren't required, but we knew would be essential to getting us to a place of truly seamless transition. So I will cut myself off because I don't know how long Mary was going to talk, but I will just say that the grant focuses, I think I forgot to say this last time we met, on children and youth with disabilities. And so the parameters for that, children are considered ages 10 through 13. So the part I am most excited about is we get to go down to upper elementary school grades and work with students and parents and families and educators to talk about transitioning students from elementary to middle school successfully, and to create a system for doing that here in Nevada. And then youth are defined as ages 14 through 24. If you know about systems and getting to truly seamless transition, folks like VR don't typically go down to age 10. And folks in education like myself, students reach maximum age for our system upon their 22nd birthday. So what they've done, I think very intuitively or on purpose or however they've done it, is they have truly made it so that the ages that we are to serve with this grant, they span across different agencies, different resources. And so really, if we're going to serve students 10 to 24, none of us can do it alone. And so we are going to be doing some awesome, innovative things. There are requirements that we have to have a website. So in addition to doing a website for seamless transition, we're also going to have an app. We have to create an advisory work group and meet certain times a year. There have to be students with disabilities, children and youth, as well as families as part of that. So more to come, but we're really excited. We found out that we got it. It's just under $10 million over the course of 5 years. And the first meeting with our federal RSA partners, there's actually 2 meetings next week on October 10th, and we will know more at that time. So right now, we're just trying to get all of our ducks in a row with our fiscal office so that we can accept the money and then that we can get it out to our sub-awardees, those other 8 partners, as smoothly as possible. So we will keep you guys updated as more information becomes available. But right now, we're just kind of in the celebratory phase, knowing that the work is about to get underway.
All right, thank you. Don, do you have any more from the Southern Nevada Center for Independent Living?
That was everything on her list.
All right, thank you so much. Dee Dee, what you got for us?
Hi, this is Dee Dee, Formaster for the record. I just want you to know that I've been exceedingly busy the last 30 days, attending and organizing public meetings for, of course, the spill, and also organizing public meetings and working on housing. There is some housing being built on Budeye Road. They have started and it's going up quick. So I'm praying to God that it'll go a little bit quicker so that we'll be able to have some move-in dates soon. And I also have been attending transportation meetings, making sure that accessibility is being worked on in the Carson City area. And also the ongoing bus route, which needs drastic improvements. I'm hopeful that they will be putting in some new bus stops, so it'll make it easier for everyone out there. I also have been working very hard on educating and encouraging people with disabilities in our peer support group to take care of their health this month. And we have been exploring a lot of things in regards to the new vaccines that are coming out, the RSV, the new COVID vaccine and also the flu vaccine. So, and we have talked a lot about health this month. We had over 90 people with disabilities and seniors in the Elko area get vaccinated this month. So we're very excited about that. And I think that kind of wraps it up.
Well, thank you so much, Dee Dee.
Sure.
And keep up the good work. All right.
Thanks.
Next, we're gonna have an a report and update from the @SIL statewide state assistive technology for independent living program.
All right, thank you. John Roseland for the record. So I let me get started with a little bit of the overview of the ATIL program. I'm sorry, everybody has to hear this every time. But I think it's important to describe the overview of this program. And that is that it's a statewide program that supports individuals to live in the community. I'm getting a lot of feedback there. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you, John. I believe it was a voiceover program in the background, but they're muted now.
That's what I thought, but I could hardly hear myself, so I was wanting to make sure everybody could hear me. So back to the overview of this program. This program's been in the state roughly 30 years, longer than my time with the program for sure. It is a program that was identified years ago through the Nevada SILC and a combination of the Assistive Technology Act program that originally existed. This program was really designed and created through the SILC. If any of you long-term people can remember, this was one of the key programs back when I started. And it was really built to identify and remove daily living barriers. And it was to provide the supports to keep people living in their communities. And it was done through assistive technology. So any types of solutions, the things that aren't covered through any other resource, Medicare, Medicaid, modifications to one's home, the things that you need if they weren't provided through Medicaid and Medicare. Looking back over time, there's a lot of things that weren't covered. Some of them are now, but even today, for example, Medicare doesn't provide you with a shower bench. So try bathing without one if you require one. So that's what this program was designed for. It has been statewide throughout the time. And then it's really aligned very much identical to what a Center for Independent Living would report. So we provide that data for the Nevada SILC at the end of the year, all of that consumer data, and there's a piece in there also of the people that we engage with through that program as far as giving information and also the survey information. So the long report that I provide when we do this is really broken down into 5 areas. It'll have the funding sources and the uses. Uses are really simple. Direct services, that's the money to pay for the modifications or the equipment, and the operational costs are the staff and the people and locations where to make that happen, to help people develop those independent living goals, help them with their identification of what they have as a priority, and finding what those solutions might be. Those are your operational costs. The estimated cost of current caseload is a section in this report. That's what we track in this report. As goals are developed and then as solutions are identified, we put them into our caseload system, and that evolves over time. If you've identified a solution, you can put an estimated cost, and that helps us to really identify how far we can go into the wait list continuously. If we're looking at that information and looking at how much money we have to buy that assistive technology service, we can expand into the wait list. The third part of this report reporting document that was provided has the satisfaction and life impact surveys. So that's after services have been completed. There's also a section, I've mentioned it before, but I haven't ever added it to the report. It's kind of a lengthy bunch of data, but we did, back in 2018, we started surveying people who left the program, whether they withdrew or to ask them a few simple questions. And those questions where we wanted to understand a little bit more, what was the developing of independent living goals a good method of approaching this, approaching their barriers? Was there any part of the process that was confusing? Was there any part of the process where it was hard to express your choice? Those are the types of questions we wanted to ask people, and there's some others in there, and the data's in the report. But more so than the people that received the service, what about people that didn't? And so that data has been added into this report further down. And then, of course, we've got the consumer goals services. You'll find that information all in this text document where it breaks down what types of goal areas there are by priority. And then finally, the call information for the program. People who are calling in, we track and really want to get a sense of, are people calling us? Are we reaching the people that we want to reach, right? If we got a bunch of people calling that are kind of, for lack of better terms, a do-gooder that's calling for their neighbor, we want to talk to the neighbor who needs the service and wants to develop the independent living goal, not somebody that doesn't have that authority to establish the independent living goal. That's just one metric that we have in our calls information that we want to know about. We want to know, are we reaching the right people when we're doing outreach? And so all of that information is kind of laid out here, and I'll go through that from here. Funding-wise, the total budget for this program, it operates on the state fiscal year. The client data client and consumer data that I report to you, we track on a federal fiscal year because that's applicable to what you guys are going to have in your annual report. But there's no way to break that funding up to make it look identical to the federal year. This year, in all, there's $1.455,000 that was budgeted for this program. That consists of the Part B federal SILC money, the federal assisted technology funds that we utilize in there, and about $1.3 million in state general fund. We are just pending being able to add the ARPA funding, the America Rescue Plan Act funding. There's a little over $1 million that we are going to be getting to eliminate our wait list. So that is pending. But I'm not really reporting where we will be at. I'm going to be describing our caseload and everything based on what we currently have, money in the bank, right? That's how much money we have available right now. And then once we have the $1 million, I can do some speculation of where we'll be. So the entire estimated cost for the program right now, that's consumers with solutions in place, is just over $1 million, almost $1.1 million. So that's how much money we would need today to completely be solvent and have nobody on the wait list. Although there's about 79 solutions that we don't have estimated costs. Those would be outliers until solutions are defined. Currently, we have about we actually have $982,000 that was allocated for direct services. In addition to that, Care Chest secured another $270,000. So the amount of funding that we actually have available is about equal to what the current caseload is. But again, with those 79 solutions, those will evolve over time. By the nearest projection that I can come up with when we get the $1 million, is we'll have about $600,000 to anticipate for the rest of the year. So on a state fiscal year, we're 3 months into it, so we have about $600,000 to make it through the rest of the year where we wouldn't have a wait list. It's going to be interesting, as I've said before, to find out what happens when we're working with consumers that aren't maybe discouraged by hearing that there's a wait list. There's no way to tell. In 30 years, we've never been without a wait list, so it's going to be interesting to see if you have more people engaging the program or not. Operational costs, I already went through that. That's really staff identified as independent living specialists. That's who's working with the consumer to help them lay out what their independent living goals are and then systematically work through those. Jumping to the satisfaction and life impact data, there's two pieces in here. One is satisfaction. There's one piece of the satisfaction that's a built-in federal assisted technology piece. But more importantly than satisfaction, I think that's a good matrix. But I also think it's more important to ask specific questions, and I'm glad to say that our program has been doing that for a long time about the life impacts, where the rubber meets the road with the individual. We also want to point out that kind of the way the survey is put together, you have two ways of looking. You have positive and negative, right? There's multiple choices in there. Let's say, for instance, excellent, very good, good, fair, and poor. What we consider positive, or what I refer to when I say positive, we're talking in that upper level of positive, excellent or very good. We're not really counting the good as that higher end. Hopefully that makes sense, right? If I say that we've got 98% of the people say we are doing excellent or very good, or the staff are doing excellent or very good, that's what we're looking for. Another question that we ask there, if the consumer did have choice and control over the goals they set and the types of services received, we look at that in the same way. There's, is it a lot of choice and control, or quite a bit of choice and control, or is it little control and not enough control? Fortunately, I think it's a good measurement. We got 98% of the individuals that replied said that they had a lot or quite a bit of control. I don't want to, I know you guys always are running short of time, so I don't want to run through everything. I want to highlight some of the information, but I want to point and say, you can look at that full report and look at all of the reporting data. The overall satisfaction is in there, but some of the important stuff as far as life impacts. How did the service impact your life? My overall quality of life, how did it affect that? 95% of the people said it improved a lot or quite a bit. That's a very positive bunch of information. The overall independence related to the goals established. That's like from where you started to where you ended. Again, 96% of the people said it improved a lot or it improved quite a bit. That's 73% improved a lot, 23% quite a bit. The last one that I'll mention is last two, and that's chances staying out of a nursing home. This is asking the individual themselves how they feel about that after working with the program. And we have 87% of the people said that it improved a lot or quite a bit staying out of a nursing home. The last one I always like to point out is how often is the device or modification used, and that's 93% use it daily and 4% reported that they use it weekly. One person had put it down as not applicable. That's actually not a response that would make sense, but that's what they put down and we'll report it. So daily and weekly, 93% of the people using these services daily, right? It's a pretty important bunch of information. I guess I should point out that the people leaving the program that we survey, we had 4 respondents this year. It's been interesting. It's been interesting in surveying people since 2018 and how few people really reply. But as a whole, I find it interesting that when you ask people if developing independent living goals is a good method of approaching the barriers in their life, we have 100% of the people that responded this year that said, yes, that is a good. Was the process confusing? 100% said no. Was it hard to express your choice? 100% said no. Those are good things, right? That kind of supports what our philosophy is that developing independent living goals and trying to empower the consumer to make decisions are a good thing. And these are people that left the program. So again, I would encourage you to look through the entire report to look at the survey data regarding the choice and control that they had and so on. But it's all in there. And if you ever have any questions on that reporting data, just reach out to me directly. I'd love to go through it with you. Or if you felt that you wanted to see something broken down a little bit more, just let me know, and I'll let you know if I can break that information down. Jumping over to the consumer, independent living consumer data.
Hey, John, can I ask a question now, or should I wait until you're done?
Sure.
Sure, wait until you're done, or sure, and
sorry, yeah, go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, thanks, John. Can you include the population with the percentage so we can better understand? So when we talk about 96% of how many, 100% of how many, so we can better understand the kind of wide and varied variety of impact or response you're getting.
So, certainly. In fact, the one part that I missed in the beginning is the percentage of response rate to our satisfaction and life impact. So that percentage is in there, but I can break that down into how many people were surveyed. We have all of that information, so it breaks it down to how many. So our target, our goals and objectives for our community partner providing the service is to get 50% of the consumers to reply to the survey. That's actually supposed to be a very good objective there, because it is a volunteer survey. We highly encourage consumers to respond and provide them with everything to send it back free of charge, no cost. So that 50% target has always been what we shoot for. Right now we're at statewide about 40.7% response rate, but I point out that it's October 4th and the data we're reporting through was September 30th. We've got about 45 days to wait for more surveys to come in. But what I'll do, Peter, is I'll have to go back and pull the actual information as far as how many people were surveyed and how many responded. I do have that, it's just not included in the report. But I'll shoot that over to Wendy when I get done with it, and she can maybe post it on the SILC for the full report. Would that work?
Yeah, sure. Did I hear you say that there were maybe just 4 people who responded to one of the survey?
For the for people that withdrew from the service, only 4 responses for that.
Okay. Yeah, it would be helpful for me. And again, this is Peter Whittingham, member of SILC. It would be helpful for me to associate the percentage data with the population number, and so we can see it's 90% of 100 and 90% of 10, or 96% of 200, or 96% of 20.
Absolutely. So for the consumers that have received a survey, they've met a goal. I'll add that information in there. I have it right in front of me. I know how many consumers responded. So for instance, there was 108 consumers that had a goal met, right? They had at least one goal met. Of those, 44 people responded to the survey. That's of the goals met. That's people that had at least one of their goals met, and they closed the case in a fashion. Even if they withdrew, if they met one goal there, we're asking them how that worked out. If people have withdrawn though, and this is the important part, there's 4 people that responded. So out of all the people that may have withdrawn from the service, if 4 responded, we did offer it to everybody. Every single person gets a survey unless they have passed away. There's one other piece there. If we get a return to sender contact, there's no way we can reach them, right? We've shot them, we've sent them an email, we've called them, and then we get a return to sender mail. Then we're probably not going to mail them a survey just for no reason. I'll update that stuff though, Peter, with the actual numbers. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Let me scroll, catch up with where I was at there.
While you're looking for that, this is Dawn Lyons. I would just like to say that it never ceases to amaze me how successful this independent living program is in specific. And, you know, to hear the kinds of surveying you're doing and to get the kind of results that you're getting from that, it would be wonderful if the other centers for independent living who also provide independent living plans would do the same kind of surveying and get some, because that data is probably the most meaningful coming out of your program that makes most sense to all of us, right? Like, what do the people think of the program, not what are the numbers, right? So, and the numbers are important too, don't get me wrong. I asked the same question, Peter, but in the reverse for Mary Evilsizer for Southern Nevada Center for Independent Living about the data to put it in percentages along with the numbers. But yeah, it's the narratives that come from that information that is really so meaningful, and to see it so successful, it's just very impressive.
Well, thank you. The interesting thing about this program is it was built before Nevada had an homestead plan, right? This was the forefront of trying to address the barriers that many of the people, I like to say, a lot of the people that I've got to work with were people that were faced with institutionalization, right? The person that hired me when I went to work for the Center for Independent Living was faced with a choice when he had a spinal cord injury as a quadriplegic. He had a choice: go to a nursing home or find a way to pay for attendant care. Those were big things. Those were the guys that built this program. These were the guys that were used to, I say guys, it's not just guys, it's all the way around. The people that inspired these programs were the people that had to push to build the PAS program, the Personal Assistance Services in Nevada. The reason why those exist are because these guys were left with a choice, right? There was no Olmsted that came to rescue them. I mean, the ADA wasn't even around. So how important these services are, the data is just one way of highlighting that. So, and I appreciate both, because I like looking at numbers. I like, because it helps me equate to are we reaching people, and then also making them applicable for people to understand is so important. So I appreciate all the feedback and questions. Back to what Peter was asking is, you can actually pull some of that information. You can take the percentages I put in there, and then further in here where we get into the caseload and we start talking about how many people were closed and goals were met and stuff, it can give you that. But it'll be simple for me to add that in there and make it just might make it another page longer, so I warn you. I see Dawn smiling, that's good. So anyways, back to the consumer case information. One of the things that we report in the SILC federal reporting is they want to know how many consumers came over from the previous year and how many new during the year. And when I say consumers, these are people that have developed an independent living goal. they have to have an independent living goal for there to be what we would call a case. So establishing at least one independent living goal is where that would take place, and then that's their plan. So they have to sign, I say plan, they can waive the plan or whatnot, and I don't want to get too far into that unless people have questions. But what are the goals that they have, and then what are the steps that we need to take to accomplish that? What steps do they need to take, and what steps will we be taking with? So at the beginning of the year, we had 190 consumers that were carried over from the last year. Some of those consumers may have plans that are 2 and 3, 4 years old. It may be that we're still waiting for something to come up that we can finish off their goals. So they don't just go away. There's not a time limit that says we're going to close your case after 90 days, unless there's not a step that they're taking to go forward, and then they have an option to make. And then we had 126 new consumers throughout the year. 46 consumers were waitlisted as of September 30th. That's 46 people waiting for funding. There's a definition in the report I provided. It says waitlist consists of consumer cases where we do not have the resources to purchase the assistive technology service at this time. Again, a lot of this is going to change once we have those ARPA waitlist dollars. There's 19 cases that are pending a consumer signature. So those are consumers waiting in the wings. They obviously have goals established, and there's something waiting there. They're waiting for them to sign their independent living goals and confirm that that's their choices, and then we will move forward. The big three that I'd like to report on are the goal areas. So in the world of what we work in on this program, the goal areas as federally defined are going to fall into self-care. There's community-based living, which is a rather larger one, and for us that's usually like a home access, trying to be able to get in and throughout your home. There's also mobility and transportation. The feds lump that together, but in the data that I provided, I broke those apart. You can actually see what those percentages are, which ones are actually mobility now, and which ones are actually transportation related. I found a way to do that in our system. And then communication is one of the goals, so that's speaking or hearing. And then there's 2 that are called information and access to technology, and that may be vision, barriers related to vision loss or controlling one's environment, thermostat, lighting, etc. Self-care has been the #1 goal in pretty much, I think, throughout my history in 20 years. Self-care is still the #1. 49% of the consumers accessing the program have a self-care goal, at least one self-care goal. These are primarily bathing, toileting, personal hygiene, eating, cooking, transferring oneself, or being transferred. Remember, these aren't just independent living goals so that you can do things yourself. They can also be to receive care. So that's an important aspect there, is people self-directing their own care. Community-based living is 17% of the entire list of goals set. Secondary is transportation. That is 17% of all goals set. Mobility makes up 6%. Communication is 7% of the barriers that people have independent living goals. And you can have a whole variety of these in there. But this isn't usually just like a one and done. It's not uncommon. I think the last average we did was about 4 independent living goals per person to kind of break those into ways of accomplishing them. Prioritization. So if I didn't mention already, the program is required to and does prioritize services. If somebody needs a service for transition, so that's transitioning out of a care facility and into the home, or prevention to prevent them from going into a care facility from the home. Those things are identified. During this year, from October of 2022 till September 30th of 23, we had zero goals that are related to relocation, which is odd. We typically would have one of those, but we have 107 that are related to prevention. So that's preventing somebody from going into a care facility. That's 107 goals, and that relates to 63 consumers. So 63 consumers had 107 prioritized goals. So you can see some of those consumers obviously had multiple goals that were priorities, that we had to address something to keep them from going to the care facility. Consumer goals, the overall closure, I don't like this, but it's a federal reporting mechanism, and it's the overall goals, the overall closure reason, I should say, is kind of wonky. So what I've done is I put the information together that really looks at the goals. Like what are the goals that people have? So during the year, during this period of the year, goals that were open, not closed prior, not completed in a prior year, or we're not counting any of those. Goals that were open and active this year, there was 840 open and active goals for these consumers during the year. 312 of those goals were met. That's 37% of all those goals. There's 441 of those in progress right now. So those are open and in progress. Withdrawn, we had 66 individuals that withdrew goals. That was about 8% of the entire list of goals. Unable to contact, 27 goals closed because we couldn't contact the person. That's about 3% of the caseload. Goals where somebody passed away, 30 goals closed because the person passed away, about 4% of all the goals set. And goals where we had no solution available. These are the frustrating ones. Four instances where a goal could not be met because we couldn't find a solution. I'll give you an example. One of these was the ability to widen a door. To widen the doorway so the person could fit through it with their mobility device. There was just no physical way to widen that doorway. It was a structural issue, barrier. That would be an example of one of those solutions not available. At the end of the piece here, the closure reasons, 145 cases closed during the year. This is that federal reporting requirement that you can only close the case in these ways, either goals met, withdrawn, died, moved, or other. In order for a consumer to say their case was closed, goals met, that's their decision to make, right? We don't make that because a goal was met. They have to make that determination themselves. We have 69% of the caseload closed as goals met, all goals met. We had 28 cases closed where the person had withdrawn, 19% of the cases. Consumers that passed away, we had 11 consumers pass away in the middle of their plans, about 8%. Four people moved during the year, about 3% of the caseload, and then closed for other reasons. There was 2, and that would be a 1%. Wrapping up is the call information. During the year, we had 285 calls. It breaks down to how many of those were consumers, how many were consumer representatives. Consumer representative means you have to have the authority to help that person with an independent living goal. You can't be somebody that doesn't have that authority. So of the 285 calls, there was 246 of those were by people with authority. That tells me something there, right? That tells me we're getting the message out correctly. We don't have somebody calling on the behalf of somebody. We have actual consumers calling. And then again, it breaks that information down. I don't want to use up all your time, but how many of them were program information packets? That's where somebody has said, I want to develop an independent living goal. There was 200 of those provided. So the big question for us is, if we had 200 people said they wanted to develop independent living goals at this stage, why didn't we get 200 consumers at the end? That's the mystery that we'll look at and try to figure out from a caseload perspective. All in all, in the call data, we had 533 referrals to other resources. That's pretty significant amount of information in 285 calls where we were able to give that many referrals out. Last but not least is potential goals, and that's one of the things we ask the consumer. We ask the independent living specialist to listen to the consumer when they called and say, how many of these goals that the person's described or potential goal areas do we think that this person could have just based on this first conversation? So of all of those calls, we had about 271 identified from that call's perspective. I've been trying to figure out how to make sense of people that engage the program and then don't follow through or don't develop an independent living goal, and it's a can of worms. I'll tell you, I've read a lot of the call data and tried to figure out why didn't this person call back, or you review it and you find out that they found another solution, right? Or they found another option. All good stuff, but trying to make sense of the data sometimes can be a little bit wonky. I'm pretty much done with that. Again, I would like to encourage people to take a look at it. And if you have questions, reach out to me, and then I'll update the stuff per Peter's request and put some of those numbers in there so you've got an idea of how many consumers that means. And from that point, any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Do we have any questions for John?
John, this is Peter again. Just one follow-up question. And I may have discussed this with you in previous report. You may have even answered it, but just for clarification and maybe full understanding. One of the things that I know from the end user point of view is that the loan period for electronic devices of 30 days is not sufficient for them to meaningfully make a headway, or in fact address some of the needs that they have within that 30-day period. And of course, the condition on the loan is that you try to get funds to purchase, and even within 30 days or beyond, they may not have the ability. And so one of the questions I thought I would ask, if I haven't asked this before, is there anything in the budget, or can we propose in the budget to extend the loan of devices, especially to intellectual developmental needs, to address those needs, to extend the loan of the device beyond the current 30-day period?
Yes, Peter, so this is John Roseland for the record. This isn't the program that loans devices. And so this program is not the same one that we've spoke about before. We're talking about the AT resource centers and the required device loan and demonstration. But there is not an extended loan period, because that doesn't allow the technology to be available for the intent of that act. So the device loan and demonstrations are in that program are to be able for a person to make an informed decision. If there are barriers for the person to obtain that device, then the SILC is really the SILC or the Assisted Technology Council, but there's a combination there. Why isn't the person able to access and obtain the device is really the barrier. So the program, I should say, it's not that we can extend it for long periods of time. That's not within what the purpose of the act is for that service. There is a short-term accommodation, but case in point, if we loan a device out to somebody for a year, we're really not addressing the barrier of why they can't obtain their own device. And that has been done before. through programs where they're loaning that device out, but they're not addressing the barrier. And that's really the intent that I would like to see, is if we have those barriers, then bring them forward to these councils so that we can understand it, and perhaps it ends up in that state plan to address that bigger barrier. Is that answering your question?
Yes, John, the first part answered, and I'll follow up on another matter at a different time. To the extent that this conversation is not addressing those devices that was intended for my question, we will talk about that separately.
Yeah, the challenge that we would have is we would run out of devices very soon, specifically if we were loaning them out, and we would probably run into a conflict there with the federal purpose as well. Anyways, I think you and I had touched before on this, and I must not have closed that loop, but we really, if we can understand what your consumers are running into, why aren't they able to obtain their own device? What do they need the device for, and then why aren't they able to obtain it? We can probably have a better understanding, and we should be having that conversation with the Nevada Assistive Technology Council and also with the Nevada SILC to say, is there a barrier there, so that we can systematically figure out if there's a way to fill that.
This is Dawn Lyons. If I might just interject a little bit here. We're about to start writing our state plan for independent living for the next 3 years of our budgeting, of our goals, of our intentions, to what's needed in the disability community. How can we promote independent living further? If you feel like this is one of the priorities, that the assistive technology devices are too hard to obtain in Nevada, and that is a barrier for our population, then maybe that is something that we should discuss at our SPIL work group, as far as putting it in our goals as to solutions. What John is saying is the assistive technology program that's federally funded was intended to be a loaner program, and just so that people could figure out if that was the right device. It's not meant to provide that service. It's meant to provide the service of figuring that out, if that's what you need. So if getting that service, as getting that piece of equipment is as a service, is what's needed, and that is the barrier at this point, that's a different program, but maybe it can piggyback off of the independent living program through the state if we work on how we can maybe promote that somehow through our funding, through our partners, through, there are numerous things we can discuss as to how we can provide solutions to that problem and promote that in our SPIL. So I would encourage you to come to our SPIL work group so that you can help us plan for that.
I will.
John Roseland, for the record, I just would, what you said there, Don, triggered something in my mind. This program, the AT for Independent Living program, could possibly be, the resource also for an individual looking for that. If that assistive technology is like that, it's pretty basic. It's essential daily living barriers, right? If it falls into that area, then a consumer could certainly access this program. The other part of it is that something you said, Don, about additional resources, if there are. Very similar, the state's autism program started off in this ATIL program. It was originally started and launched through here. Consumers were accessing this for at least a couple of years, because it was a big surprise when that went through the legislature at that time. And so they just made some adjustments to policy, and we actually started developing independent living goals towards autism. The basis of what we do now in that program is just defined by the dollars. It's not defined by any lack of imagination of what and how the consumer needs could be. So hopefully that doesn't sound confusing, but it could do about anything, right? It's still just independent living. Whether you walked into a center for independent living or you went into this program, the only variation is this program that I've been giving the information and data on is only there to address essential daily living. It's not there for advocacy, self-advocacy, independent living skills training, and all of those core functions in a center. But it does have the ability to, if there's a paid for service that's needed in there, it just needs the resources to do it. So hopefully that's helpful. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, John. It's always good to listen to all that important information you have for us. It's always very informative. Next, we're going to move on to the Nevada State Rehabilitation Council update from them.
This is Dawn Lyons. Raquel, are you able to give us a summary?
Hello, so sorry. Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Good afternoon, everyone. I just have a couple of quick updates for you from the Rehabilitation Council, and if Michelle Merrill is also here, please feel free to join in. But the Rehabilitation Council worked with Dieter on creating some goals for this upcoming year. I feel those of us who worked on the subcommittee for creating the goals, felt overall pretty positive about the goal setting activity and ensuring that they address specific questions, specific need for data to be clear. I think we were all on the same page on wanting the data to be very understandable and clear, and some new data specifically aimed towards gathering information on perhaps what we might call marginalized disability, so specific subgroups. So rather than looking at let's say physical disabilities overall, but breaking those down into hard of hearing and blindness or low vision in specific. Also, we worked on including some indicators, which were a new development from before, to start forming ideas for future goals. And so I think overall it was a very positive exercise, and we look forward to kind of seeing those benchmarks be met in the coming year by Voc Rehab. If you want to know more about the plan and about what Voc Rehab sets out to do in the coming year, it's on their new website, and their new website is also something that has been a work in progress. And one part notably is feedback from the community and public on the blind and low vision piece of the website and ensuring accessibility. I feel like Voc Rehab has been very accepting of that feedback and wanting to update and make those changes, and subsequently have added right on top, when you click on applying for blind services, has added a specific tech who can assist in the application right over the phone, kind of cutting out some challenges and accessibility barriers or technology barriers for a newly blind individual who really needs the services. And so with that change, what I hear from counselors and others is that there's been an uptick in applications and intakes, which is all good news. Good to know that the services are being heard about and being utilized. I think it could possibly be across the board too. The application online is making it more accessible for people to find and apply for Voc Rehab overall. And then I think in this coming year, we set our new dates, calendar dates for 2024 for meeting. And we're looking for additional members to join the council. So there are a few open positions, and if you are interested or know of anybody who may be interested in representing certain seats, please contact myself and let me know your interest. I would be open to talking to anybody who wants to join the council. So it's a good time. I feel like more than ever, it's become a supportive environment, and we are really trying to get people aware of the services, and people are the staff also have increased, so they're filling vacancies and making a huge difference for providing the services. Does anybody have any questions? Or any input from if there's any other voc rehab representatives?
Looks like you did a great job.
Okay, I guess we covered it for now.
All right,
All right,
thank you so
everybody,
much.
our next meeting is November 7th. So look forward to everybody being there.
All right, thanks so much,
All right.
Raquel.
Thanks, Evander.
Next, we're gonna move on to an update from ADSD. Is there anybody here for that update?
So this is Dawn Lyon. Oh, I'll let Cheyenne explain.
Thank you, Dawn. I appreciate you trying to cover for me. Good afternoon, everyone. Cheyenne Pasquale, Planning Chief with ADSD. And I apologize, I am not prepared to provide updates today. There was a little mishap with my calendar, and I did not have the meeting in my calendar. So what I would like to offer to the group is a written report of some updates that can be disseminated out to the group and posted online within the next couple of days, if that is agreeable.
I'm sure that'll work for us.
Okay.
But this is Dawn Lyons. I appreciate that, Cheyenne. I understand. I've been busy myself, so things have been kind of crazy. But is there anybody who has any specific update requests from Aging and Disability Services that they can provide to our council for when she provides that written update? Is there anything specific anyone wants to hear about?
What was that we were talking about in the participant at the beginning? What was that program? The
No Wrong Door.
No Wrong Door, right? Can we get that an update on that? Or what does that do? Something like that?
Definitely. I can provide a little brief summary of the history and kind of where we're at today. And I love to talk about No Wrong Door. So if we want to have a longer presentation in the future, I'm happy to do that as well.
This is Dawn Lyons. I would also, I had something in mind and now I'm drawing a blank. Shoot. This has been my mind lately. I apologize. I will come back to that.
Swipe up or down to select a custom action, then double tap to activate.
Okay. Did you say you were going to think about it, or you want to get back with us on it for Cheyenne?
It was right there and I lost it. That's what happened. So I'll just, if I can't think of it before the end of the meeting, I'll just email it to Cheyenne.
Great. Thanks, Cheyenne. Thanks for making it to the meeting.
Thank you all for giving me a little bit of grace. I appreciate it. And I will send some updates, like I said, in the next few days.
Swipe up or down
Great.
to select a custom action.
I remember. This is Dawn.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
remember. So I would like to hear more about the transition and the planning for the focus program and Money Follows the Person coming to Aging and Disability Services from Medicaid, if that's okay. That's what I wanted to ask.
Talking to myself. This is Cheyenne for the record. I will include that.
All right, great. Thank you so much. Next, we're going to have an update about Employment First.
Yeah, so this is Dawn Lyons, and I don't really have a whole lot to say about it yet. Things have been kind of crazy. I've been traveling a lot, and as you know, I'm on the Employment First Committee, but we did meet a few weeks ago. We were supposed to meet again this week, but I dropped the ball and my schedule was just nuts. So we're gonna meet next in 2 weeks. So I'll send out that information to anybody who's interested. But in the meantime, what we are doing and what we talked about last time was with the Blue Cross Blue Shield anthem, looking for, us to provide input towards the employment for people with disabilities month of October, just to provide some kind of a presentation on employment first to Anthem so that they understand where we're coming from better, which I think will go a long way for us in planning out how we're going to promote employment first to legislators, to organizations that don't understand it or maybe want to know more about what our frame of reference is for that, and what we're looking to accomplish. And so we did put, I believe we gave them potential survey questions to survey within their organization to see what they already might know a little bit, just a brief survey. And we're hoping to get that information back by our next meeting so that we can go ahead and kind of customize that training, so to speak. But that's what we have going on at this moment. If any, Cindy, I know you're on that committee too, if you wanted to add anything to that, but that's mostly what I remember us talking about.
Dawn, thank you. This is Cindy Swanson for the record. And the beauty, the success of Employment First, from what I've been able to ascertain from other states, is when there is a coordinated collaborative effort. Colorado has everybody at the table talking about employment first. And I kind of go along this a little bit with extremely cautious optimism. But when Jennifer was talking about this fabulous grant that the state got, and all the different players are participating, the first thing that came to my mind, Dawn, was let's capture all these people, because the thing about transition and successful transition is leading to employment, as Jennifer said, and then having all those partners be part of the employment first process. Where we get lost is when our kids are 8, 10, 12 years old and we're told, oh, your kid will never work, so don't even think about it. But I think if we're going to bring the schools into the idea of your child being able to work someday when they're whatever 16, 18, 22 and doing all the right things, I think I'm way more better optimistic about it, and I want us to hang on to those good partners, because it can only work if everybody is on board with this. Also, there's a large organization that is doing webinars that Catherine Nielsen with the Nevada Governor's Council and myself have applied to be a part of. And it's talking about eliminating 14C, which apparently that's what we're doing in Nevada. But a lot of people don't understand it. They're scared. They think that their people are going to have nothing to do. So really understanding how to transition a state from using 14C, sub-minimum wage, to going forward. I think that's all part of it. So I'm after listening to Jennifer's talk about the money, the $10 million over 5 years is great. How we use it and how we intersect that into employment is great. So thank you, Dawn, for letting me talk once more. Thank you. I'm done.
Evander, Jennifer Kane's hand is up.
All right, Jennifer, what you got for us?
Hi, this is Jennifer Kane for the record. Thank you so much, Cindy, for pointing that out. I didn't have a chance to go into everything today, and we will get more details as we move forward, but a huge part of the seamless transition and what was asked of us is dealing with the employment side, as well as the independent living, as well as post-secondary ed and training. But there's a third of the project is aimed specifically at employment. And part of the reason I'm so excited about the elementary school connection and going down to serve students and families from age 10 is changing those ideas you know, removing some of the barriers of just like, this is scary and I'm not sure what to do, which also ties into the sub-minimum wage and that change that's coming. So you know, the earlier we start to talk with students and families and prepare them for each of these various transitions from elementary to middle to high, and then out into the world and the other systems that they connect with beyond, you know, our education system. I just think that that is where our wins come in, right? We help students and families have more information earlier and guide them through that information and surround them with the information instead of continuing to sit in our own silos and expecting them to navigate different systems. So we will be happy to share our growing group. I don't know, I've been at the department, December will be 16 years. And back when I started, we had in Nevada law, an interagency transition advisory board, or ITAB it was called. And it was staffed by the Nevada Governor's Council on Developmental Disabilities. And after a few years, it just sunset. Whoever the governor was at the time just probably didn't realize that it, you know, was going to sunset. And so it just kind of quietly went away. And I feel like we've had a gaping void to have a place for, you know, we have an independent living council and VR has their rehabilitation council, but we haven't really had a place to just come and have all of the partners talk transition together in regular intervals and with making sure we have meaningful participation from all those required folks. So thank you so much for saying that. And I couldn't agree more. And I look forward to, you know, part of the reason we asked for the SILC to become part of the effort, even though they were not a required partner, was so that those conversations that we have here together could be part of that effort. And, you know, we can have some cross sections of people represented. And so I think that's a wonderful idea. And not to get in the weeds, but, you know, it's hard for me not to talk about this. We asked VR because part of this is work-based learning and not having those opportunities, especially in rural and remote rural areas. So we asked them, what do you all need that you don't currently have to create more work-based learning opportunities at earlier ages so that students across the state, youth and children and youth with disabilities have more opportunities so families can get used to the idea of employment. And Michelle Merrill looked at me and she said, people. She's like, we don't have people in the network out there in those rural areas. And I said, well, you know what I have? I have teachers and administrators, and we have connections to families in every community in Nevada because there's a school everywhere, right? And so that is a huge part of this effort is we put $10,000 stipends in because we know a lot of the work of building those networks is going to be teachers having to work outside of their school hours. So we've built in stipends so that we can have designated educators in each area helping VR build networks for work-based learning across the state. So there's a ton more to come of the details of this that we will share with you. Like I said, we're just in the holy cow, we got it. Now we have to start getting our fiscal ducks in a row place right now. But soon we will be coming together and, you know, asking for your input in how we can do this and do it together, kind of across all of these needs for transition. Thank you.
This is Cindy again. Thank you. I'm very excited. And the sooner we get families and their kids to dream those big dreams, the more likely it's going to happen. So thank you for your work.
This is Dee Dee Formaster for the record. I've heard you talk a lot about school districts, but has anybody thought about how to approach the homeschool programs? My daughter was homeschooled, and several of the people with disabilities in the community, their parents have chosen to take them out of especially the junior high level, where they are basically bullied to death. So has anybody thought about outreach to them?
So this is Dawn Lyons. I know that within our SILC outreach specialist position description, if we are able to hire the right youth outreach specialist for the job, we are hoping that they will be able to reach out to those rural communities and those communities where they're a little bit less reachable through, you know, regular means. or even electronic means. So we've been looking at that as a whole, because, you know, there's, like you said, there's homeschoolers, there's people who don't have cell phones, there's people who, you know, so we need to be able to reach people where they're at as well. And we're hoping that, I know one person can't do it all, but we can at least start the process, right?
That's right, because I know I have a lot of contacts in the rural areas. So just bringing that up.
All right, thank you so much, Dee Dee. And we will take in consideration all those people to make sure that we get them some type of service. Next is we're gonna have a discussion and approval of our position statement, SILC's position statement on ableism. Don, you wanna take over that? Julie was supposed to do it, but
Actually, I think I was going to read it anyway. So this is Dawn Lyons for the record, and I meant to put this on our last SILC meeting agenda, and somehow it got missed. So we're doing it this time. So to bring everybody's memory back, we had discussed creating a position statement on ableism because it was such a huge issue, and it is still a huge issue, and we feel so strongly about it. So here's the draft. I got a few people's input, including, you know, some SILC members here. So I'm going to read it, and then I welcome any, you know, suggestions, input, feedback. If you like it, if you don't, if you think something is missing, whatever. Okay, so I'll go ahead. The meaning of ableism is discrimination or prejudice against individuals with disabilities, and I retrieved that from Merriam-Webster Dictionary online. This occurs either intentionally or unintentionally due to internal biases based on stereotypes or misguided beliefs about people with disabilities. People with disabilities encounter ableism daily. The Nevada SILC condemns ableism in every form. We are tired of people treating adults with disabilities like children, making economic assumptions about us, ignoring our requests, disregarding our opinions, and dismissing us as unable or less able than them. Whenever someone makes decisions for us without consulting us, they assume they know better. This is, of course, false. I know what's best for me. I do not assume to know what is best for you. It is not unreasonable to expect to be treated with respect by others, regardless of how well I can speak, walk, hear, see, or otherwise appear to function. Disability rights are human rights. We also understand that oftentimes people are unaware that they have ableist attitudes or that they unintentionally discriminate. In the same way microaggressions can be harmful to other minority groups, ableism harms the disability community by reinforcing stereotypes that promote discrimination and the mistreatment of individuals with disabilities on a systemic level. Therefore, it is important to educate those who are ableist when we witness it. The disability community is the largest minority group in Nevada, and yet there is the least amount of awareness surrounding ableism. The SILC strives to educate and inform those who interact with the disability community about ableism so we can eliminate it altogether and be seen and treated with the same dignity and respect as others. And then I included some shared personal experiences as examples. Person one. The belief that since the SILC is made up of a majority of individuals with disabilities, we are not as qualified to advocate for the disability community as another group that is made up of health and human service professionals, unquote, is ableism and is offensive. Person two, I am an adult woman with CP. I have an electric wheelchair and struggle to speak clearly. I also graduated from a prestigious university and own my own business. Just the other day, a leader of a community organization spoke loudly and in a patronizing tone as if I were a child when he introduced himself. He also seemed to dismiss me when I attempted to share my background and experience as if it couldn't possibly be true. Person three, I am an adult woman with autism. I struggle with my job as I work with the public, and I'm exhausted at the end of the day due to all the anxiety and stress that it causes for me. I went to a doctor to explain my difficulty, and she told me, "You don't have autism, you'll be just fine." She didn't even ask to see my previous records or suggest any assessments before she decided that about me, subsequently invalidating me and my feelings and making me feel hopeless about my situation. those were the three examples. Does anybody have any thoughts on the position statement?
To select a custom action.
Tap
to activate.
Don, when you were reading it before we got to the last three people, did you mean for you to have all those I's in there, or should we turn those into we?
Oh, you mean instead of writing it as first person?
Right.
We can definitely put it as we. I can change that. It's a good idea.
That's the only thing that I was thinking. Anybody else?
It actually went back and forth as I'm looking at it. So you're right. I need to go back and change that so it's uniform.
Other than that, I think it sounds great. Is there anybody else who wants to tap in on that?
This is the Form Master for the record. I think it was very well written, Don.
Thank you. Like I said, I had SILC members helping me, and that's probably why it flip-flopped a little bit between we and I, because different people were writing different parts. So
so are we gonna let you change everything and come back to the council or with it, or are we gonna make it a motion with the changes?
well, if those are the only changes that people are suggesting, I would like to hear a motion to approve it with those changes.
This is Linda Vivoda. I approve it. I first approve it.
This is Saber McWhorter. I second. I thought it was great.
Thank you. This is Dawn Lyons. Linda, can I just get clarification that you approve of the current position statement on ableism with changes suggested?
This is Linda Vivoda. I approve the first ableism. Sorry, I'm having a hard time speaking. Everybody,
just say so approved.
So approved.
Thank you. And
all
then
right.
Sabra, we don't need, or Havander, we don't need to have Sabra second it again, do we?
We do not. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody against? This motion is approved. Thank you guys so much.
7 for possible action.
Now we're going to move on to the spill objectives and budget. Don, are you going to take that one too?
Yes, this is Dawn Lyons for the record. So I included in the materials the budget for fiscal year 23 as we're coming to the fiscal year 23 close. Of course, there's a delay in that information getting from when we spend it or when we authorize it until it actually shows up on the books. But so that's why it looks like there's still a balance, but we're extremely close, believe it or not, even though it looks like there's a lot left, because of all the conferences and travel that we've approved last year to be spent from fiscal year 23 funding, including into federal fiscal year 24. So I think we'll be just fine. And then I think there was one other thing that we had in the objectives that we hadn't completed yet. And that was, I'm trying to remember the exact wording because I don't think it was actually in the, oh, here we go. No, it's not here. So yeah, for some reason, I think it might have been an indicator that didn't get included in this list that I sent out. But we did say that by the end of this fiscal year, we would have a formalized quality assurance plan. And we haven't done that. So we want to make sure we start working on that, and possibly we can either we can get maybe a couple people to work with me on the side as a project on that, and we can email individually accordingly and then bring it back to the group next time, or we can possibly roll it into the spill work group and have that in our next spill as a plan moving forward, and that would satisfy our objective at that point. What do you guys think?
I'm thinking we should roll it into our next spill group and get it taken care of that way. We got a lot going on already when we're working on because we're working on our spill, correct? In the spill group.
Yeah, this is Dawn Lyons. To be honest, I think I'm out of town more than I'm in town this month because of April conference and then the DCBT conference. And so I don't know how much time I actually have to individually work on this project on the side. So I think it's a good idea to roll it into the spill work group. Like you said, it actually fits into that theme anyway of how we want to move forward with the quality assurance plan. So yeah, that makes sense to me.
Great, then let's do that. Do we need a motion or can we just do that?
We don't need a motion necessarily. I guess I'm kind of looking for any suggestions or ideas that if anyone thinks that we missed any of our goals, or if we think we did a good job at accomplishing them and evaluating them as we went. Does anybody have any feedback on how well they think we did? Let me just clarify that a little bit. So we've had this as a standing agenda item, and it's been the opportunity for SILC members, according to our responsibilities as the SILC Council, right? We're supposed to evaluate our state plan for independent living, and we're supposed to make sure we're on track. So it's been our standing agenda item. It comes up, every 3 months when we meet, and not a whole lot has been said about it. Nobody really has much. Do we feel like we were off mark with our goals? Do we feel like we were on track? Is it something that we feel like we did a good job with, and that's why we don't have any feedback necessarily? Or is it something that we think it's irrelevant to whatever we're doing at the moment, or we can't connect the dots? I'm just curious what everybody feels about this.
This is Linda Voda for the record. And like I said, pardon me, I've been sick, so if I sound a little squeaky, that's why. My question to you, Dawn, is do we have one person that actually looks over the books, or how many times do we have people looking over that plan, and how many at one time? If we have too many people looking at the plan at one time, maybe somebody's missing something, or it's not all getting taken care of at the same time. And I feel like I don't know, maybe I haven't been to as many meetings as I should be, but I still feel like I'm on the outskirts of really trying to understand where that plan is coming from.
Thank you, Linda. This is Dawn Lyons. And that's kind of the impression that I got, is that people don't feel connected as enough to the state plan and our goals and objectives and the things that we've indicated that we would accomplish from our plan. And this is really important, because this is one of the main jobs of our council, and it's all of our council members that are responsible for this. So I wouldn't call that too many. In fact, I think we need to educate the public. But if we don't even educate ourselves, how can we educate the public? So I know this is probably something that should go into the spill work group and the next planning process as to how to make sure or ensure that SILC members understand what their roles and responsibilities are. That's in your trainings. It's in your mandatory trainings, I believe, that it explains, and ILRU does a really good job of describing the SILC member roles and responsibilities as well. So if anybody is confused about that, hopefully And I know we have an agenda item where Wendy's going to present a little bit better of a method of how we're onboarding and mentoring our new members and our ongoing membership. Hopefully that process being improved will help us with that. And maybe we can address some of those issues as we're mentoring others, because, you know, I don't know about you, but I learn more when I teach. And if I have to look things up again to teach them to someone else or to explain them, then I'm also remembering it better and reinforcing that. So I think it's important that we're all involved in that process and not just, you know, a couple of us being mentors. So I think with that new process that's going to be explained, hopefully that'll improve that. But that's my impression anyway. And tell me if you think I'm wrong, but I kind of think it's just an internal training issue. And last state plan for independent living before this one, when we were planning this one, when we had our town halls, we had feedback from public organizations arguing with us that we had too much internal goals, that we had too many internal trainings and internal goals, and it was all about us and it wasn't about the disability community as a whole as much. And so we tried to externalize our goals a little bit more in that plan based on our feedback. But I think it's kind of backfired on us in a way that we didn't actually do enough internalizing to make sure that we could externalize it properly and get our plans across. So there's got to be a balance somewhere, right?
Can I make a suggestion? Maybe we all go before our next meeting, all go back, take a look at the spiel, look at our goals, look at everything that we've done, and each one of us as a voting member or just a member in general, come back with one thing we like, dislike, or think we need to have improvement on for our next meeting, so that we all can have something to say and we can all be engaged in what's going on.
I like that. I like that very much. This is Linda for the record.
Thank you.
That sounds great, Evander. This is Dawn Lyons. I would look for a motion that we do exactly what you just said.
If I can get a motion, that would be great.
I motion that we go back to our SILC goals and look them over and come back with a positive and a negative and find out what we need to do.
This is format.
Go ahead, Dee Dee.
I second it, and I think it's a very good idea to look over this bill. I just finished looking over it before the meeting. So, and I think we're doing a good job.
Great, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Great, so that motion is approved. I think that we're gonna have a lot to talk about next week. I mean, next meeting. I thank you guys so much for agreeing to go back, look it over, you know, come with some great ideas that will definitely be useful, and just to make sure that we're on the right track. Because as a group, we got to be on the right track. And when Julie comes back next meeting, it was all you guys' idea. That was just a little joke. Sorry. Okay. So we're gonna move on.
You're funny, Evander.
Julie Weissmanstein, 9, for possible action. Discussion and make recommendations regarding summer of civics disability related initiatives.
Oh, wait a minute.
Evander,
Oh, somebody wants to take a break.
Down to select a custom action, then double tap to activate.
So, what are you taking? 10 minutes? 15 minutes? What are we taking?
10 minutes?
Okay, let's do 10 minutes. It is
2:56 p.m.
2:56. So I'll expect everybody back here at 3:06. All right, guys, we are back from our short break. We're going to move on to the next agenda item, which is Sandra Cosgrove. The nothing without us about us initiative.
So this is Dawn Lyons. Sandra is, or Dr. Cosgrove is not at today present. You understand what I'm saying. She may
Right.
be here tomorrow, so I'd like to possibly revisit this one. If she's here tomorrow, then she can present.
Sounds great. Let's move on to the next item.
Doctor, 10.
And that will be Wendy.
Discussion and approval of council onboarding.
Hello,
Discussion
Wendy
and
Thorne.
approval.
Swipe up or down to select a custom action.
Go ahead, Wendy.
Then double tap to activate.
Okay, so we're talking about for the SILC Council for onboarding, training, and mentoring process. Dawn spoke a little bit already, and in the last agenda item that was discussed, we also talked about the members catching up on items for the spill that you can look at and be ready for the next meeting to make suggestions and observations. I also have included a page of trainings in the meeting materials that, so I'm going to be adding to the things that we're asking you to read and look at and try and absorb. Now, as far as onboarding goes, currently we have a system where we would like people who are interested in becoming members to attend a meeting and let us know that they are interested. And at that time, we would like to start moving forward with them being mentored already with the different materials that have to do with the SILC, and that they would then apply after the SILC has talked about sponsoring them for a membership. We're going to be looking at that and talking a little bit more about that with the leadership to make sure that that system is still exactly what we're hoping to do. Once somebody is with a mentor, that mentor will be helping them with reading materials, asking questions. They will have already attended at least one meeting, is what we are hoping to have too. And then we would move forward with the actual application that is online with the governor's office. It is not something that you would fill out and send to me or Dawn. It is something purely between you and the governor's office. We would like to know as soon as someone does submit their application so that we are aware of it and we can work with the governor's office when they do decide whether or not to appoint someone as a new member. So once you are a member, the mentoring will continue. We are I'll be reaching out to people in the next 30 days. Dawn and I are working on a list of who you would be mentored by, and also if you would be mentoring someone else. So we're working on that, and we'll reach out to you in the next 30 days or so to discuss your mentoring, both as a mentor and a mentee. And we'll talk to you about that. If you could go ahead and read the materials that are on the paper that I sent out, it's all on the website. The SILC has a website. It's all on there. It's in the on the resources drop-down menu, and in the upper right-hand corner of the SILC homepage, you'll see that it says trainings. So we're hoping that things will become more streamlined. The responsibilities for the mentors, one of the things that we would like the mentors to be doing, as well as checking in with their mentees on a regular basis and taking notes and letting me know how those are going. Those trainings are separate from what we are calling your ITP, which, Dawn, if you can help me, Independent Training Program, is that correct?
Individual training plan.
Got it. I see the ITP so often I have forgotten what it stands for. So the mentoring is separate from that. Each member of the SILC will have an individual training plan, also called an ITP. And there are different ways that you can fill out the form. There are different ways to complete your training for each fiscal year. And those are something that each of you are responsible for. And again, I'll be the point person for you on those, on the trainings that are available and what counts as training. Some of the things that do count are the different conferences that we go to. Some people have asked me if they can just go to 3 conferences and will that take care of their ITP requirements for the year. We would like you to do a variety of things for training. Yes, the conferences do count, but we're hoping that you won't be doing just conferences. There are other forms of training that we would like you to do for a more well-rounded SILC member. So we will reach out to you about the ITPs. We will reach out to you about the assignments for mentoring and being a mentee. Let me see here what else we're doing. I think for right now, that is what I would like to say. We are working on the process. We're streamlining it about how you become a member and how you become mentored and how you become a mentee. Or no, how you become a mentor, yes. So I'll be sending more materials soon, and that is where we're at currently. And if you have questions, please reach out to me. Does anyone have any questions right now that I can possibly answer for them?
So this is Dawn Lyons. I was wondering, because the materials that you sent out to everybody, it looks like you just kind of streamlined all of our ongoing onboarding process and put it on paper. But the thing that you also did was you added places where, you know, the date you're appointed to SILC, the date your mentoring began, you know, that kind of stuff, and who your mentor is, new member's name, that kind of stuff. And it looks like it's almost like a guide sheet for people who become mentors, to utilize that to remind them where they're at, and so that they have something to revisit, to remember when was the last time I spoke with my mentee, and I can go over, you know, training again with them, or maybe we can schedule something in a month because I talked to them, you know, 2 months ago, or, you know, that kind of thing. Is that kind of what you designed this for?
Yes, I would like people to be responsible for tracking their mentoring, whether they are mentoring someone or if they're being mentored. And many of you will be doing both. So the mentoring is an ongoing process. And I would encourage everyone that if you've been a member for a number of years and you look at the list, you will think to yourself, well, I have already read all of these. If it has been over 1 year, we are asking that you go ahead and read again and keep track of when you read it. There is a form that you can fill out that says date completed. So when you read each one of these, and you can also discuss it with your in the mentoring relationship. So this will help keep track. I will occasionally ask to see it so I can see where everyone is and see if there are places that we need to refine or go into more detail. This is a living document, the living plan. And so I'm always open to feedback and new ideas. So yes, you can start to use this as a guide for going through the materials, even if you've been a member for a number of years.
And so this is Dawn Lyons again. I just also wanted to bring up the topic that right now, you know, I know we've been planning on creating training videos for a long time now, and our initial deal, it just kind of dropped off the face of the earth, to be honest. I'm not sure why that never happened. It just didn't. So we're looking into other options to get that for an alternative to all the reading material and all the boring stuff that you guys currently have to go over, just to understand your roles, responsibilities, and what independent living is all about. We're hoping to make that a lot easier moving forward. And like I said, we've just been delayed. So some of these trainings might change over time, but the ones that are in there are the most current.
This is Wendy Thornley. I agree. And we would like people to stay updated. I will also be discussing, there are some people whose first terms will be ending soon, and so I'll be reaching out to you about applying for a second term. So I'll be contacting you soon, probably in the next few weeks, to get that ball rolling. Are there any other questions?
I don't see any hands up, so I'm assuming that we're ready to hear a motion to approve this new training sheet.
All right, so can I get a motion to approve our new onboard training?
This is Linda Voda. I approve the training sheet.
This is Saber McWhorter. I second. I would love to have one.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? All right, motion approved. Motion carries. We're gonna move on to our next agenda item, and that is discussing and approving a new legislative
Discussion and appointment for new legislative subcommittee chair.
subcommittee chair.
Then double tap to activate.
So we're gonna have to get another one because I forgot his name is just jumped off the tip of my tongue.
This is Don Lyons. Stephen Cullen retired from that position because he got a full-time job. Congratulations, Stephen.
So we're very happy for Stephen. He's got a full-time job. He deserves to move on with his career, and we're happy that he's doing that. So now we need someone else to take over. Anybody have any recommendations?
So this is Don Lyons, and I have to say Stephen Cohen submitted a public comment to me through my email during this meeting, suggesting that he would like to nominate Dr. Sandra Cosgrove as his replacement chair of the legislative subcommittee. So I wonder if maybe, since she's not present at the moment, but she does have agenda items that she might present on tomorrow, that we revisit this tomorrow, perhaps, unless we have other discussion about it or any other nominations.
Is there anybody else with any other nomination besides Dr. Cosgrove?
I think this is Dee Dee Formaster for the record, I'm sorry. I think Dr. Cosgrove would be a wonderful choice.
Okay, if we don't have any other people that we want to recommend, then I'm going to table this discussion until tomorrow.
Or not necessarily table it, because that would mean we would be waiting till the next meeting, but just to revisit it again tomorrow.
I mean, revisit this conversation tomorrow on our next part of our meeting. So we're just going to move it down to on the agenda for tomorrow.
Tomorrow's going to be a short day.
It's very short. All right, so that being done.
Julie Weissman, 12, for discussion and make recommendations for Lavender Davis.
Oh, so we're going to have a discussion. I am actually going to the National Industries for the Blind conference this Saturday, and I would like to ask the SILC if, while I'm there, and if I run into someone who I can speak to about our SILC and our mission, and I would like permission to do so. So I would like a motion to allow me to speak on behalf of SILC about our mission, what we're doing, to anyone who is interested in learning about it. And maybe even if I get to speak to some very important people, like senators or congressmen, I would like to be able to talk to them about our SILC and maybe get some ideas or some help from them any way we can. So I need a motion to be able to do that.
This is Dee Dee Formaster for the record. I make a motion that we allow Hollander to represent the SILC at his his conference he is attending. He is a SILC member, so that's what we're supposed to be doing, right, Don?
So this is Dawn Lyons for the record. We have a motion on the floor and then discussion, so I'll just respond to that after we have our second.
This is Raquel O'Neill for the record. I'll second the motion.
Thank you. This is Dawn Lyons. I'm assuming, Evander, it's okay to discuss.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. So, Dee Dee, as SILC members, we are allowed to promote SILC. However, we are not allowed to speak on behalf of SILC without SILC's permission when it comes to any kind of business decisions or speaking on behalf of the SILC on major issues, that kind of stuff, because we've had some conflict of interest in the past that has occurred because of it. So he's asking permission to speak on behalf of the council because he may actually run into some very important people while at this conference, and he wants to be able to speak freely on our behalf. And I'm assuming including recruitment, right, Evander?
Yes, including recruitment.
But yes, Dee Dee, to make it a simple answer, as SILC members, we can recruit all the time. We can tell people how great the SILC is all the time. But to say on behalf of the SILC, this is how we feel, unless it's in our position statements, we really need permission from the SILC.
Yes, I am out there quite often with all the SILC information. So I know how it goes.
Don, this is Renee. Isn't the statement you said part of Robert's law?
I think what you mean, Renee, is it breaking open meeting law to discuss SILC business without quorum, right? Is that what you mean?
No, the part about how, like, if I go to a conference on autism and I bring up, well, SILC believes this, and this, and it's not exactly true, it's just my belief, then I'm breaking Robert's law because I'm indicating it's from SILC itself, and it's not. It's my opinion. That makes sense?
Yes, that's correct. Sorry, I misunderstood. You're right.
Okay, just double checking. I'm rereading everything so I don't forget it. I'm just bad at letting you know I've read it.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
So in my behalf, I don't presume to speak. I don't presume to speak about things that I have no knowledge of. And if I think that is going to be something that I don't have direct knowledge of, then I'm definitely going to not speak on that and refer them to someone who can. But I just want to be able to say that, even if I run into somebody who may be able to help us, or to be able to, I just want to be able to speak to them about the SILC, and with you guys' permission. I mean, I could go to this conference. I can actually go to this conference and just do what I've been doing, and refer everything to Don, and just do the conference the way that I should be doing it. Looking for work and things like that for other blind individuals. But I just thought that maybe if something came up, I wanted to be able to bring the SILC up to further our cause.
This is Dawn Lyons. I trust you wholeheartedly, Evander. You're our vice chair and you have a lot of leadership in this council. You've been with us a while and you know what's going on. So I appreciate all your hard work.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, but don't we need a second?
We did. We had a second.
Okay.
I second it.
All opposed? Any opposed? Motion carries. I promise not to embarrass us.
14, public comment, no action.
We are.
Lavender Davis, Vice Chair.
Do
Discussion and make ready. Lavender Davis.
do we want to?
Slide 13, for discussion and approval of future meeting agenda items. And
Do we
meeting
want to
dates.
save our last few items for tomorrow, or do we want to keep going?
This is Dawn Lyons for the record. I think it would be appropriate to just have our final public comment, maybe end a little bit early today, and then resume where we left off with the agenda items we needed to postpone, and then we could finish up with item 13 tomorrow.
All right, that sounds like a great idea. So, Don, if you could do the honors of reading that thing that you read so well.
Yes, because, you know, if someone wanted to telephone in, of course they would do so while already on the Zoom. But anyway, public comment. No action may be taken upon a matter raised under public comment period unless the matter itself has been specifically included on an agenda as an action item. To provide public comment telephonically, dial 1-253-215-8782 US Tacoma. When prompted to provide the meeting ID, enter 929-904-1434 and passcode 707401. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Persons making comments will be asked to begin by stating their name for the record and to spell their last name and provide the secretary with written comments.
She reads that so well, doesn't she? Okay. Anybody have any public comment before we?
John Rosenlund has his hand up.
All right, John, let's do it.
Thank you, John Roseland for the record. In the discussion and regarding education, training, mentoring, it just made me think, and I'd like to make sure that the council's aware that through the Nevada AT Collaborative, and even though that's an assistive technology project, providing what is called training is education. They're actually changing the definition in that. They're one and the same, education and training. If there's anything that we could do, either myself or other people in setting up trainings and educational groups to do things like mentoring, how other people evaluate program services, what's important to them. I think that that's a really good conversation, especially for people that are members of the SILC or AT Council, where you are giving insight, you're trying to look at programs and agencies and organizations and understand what they're doing and how it relates to your mission. I think that would be an interesting training, educational training, or what have you, group to put together, and would like to throw that out there. I think that's something we could probably support through that, and would like to be a part of it myself, because there's so much we can learn from other people. Anybody that listened to me today with the program information, really understanding for me, if I know that program's purpose, how it operates, its policies, challenges, and the final output data that I've been doing it long enough to be able to get down to the nitty gritty, like how are we engaging consumers and so on and so forth, and helping to try to best empower the consumer in those processes. I say that because the program, when I engaged with it early on, wasn't that way. It was really you apply for this program, we convert it into an independent living goal. And that was not at the fault of the people that designed it. It was just the way things kind of went through the state agencies. So anyways, I throw that out there. Anything that we can do to support through that AT project and the training and technical assistance we can provide. It wouldn't have to be specific to AT, but this does fit in within consumer control, choice, and so forth. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you.
Thanks, John. We appreciate that. Is there anybody else with any public comment?
This is Dawn Lyons. I don't see anyone else's hand up, but I would like to say that I'm going to be reaching out to John anyway, because we did decide we would do a partnership on a independent living training. But that is an awesome idea, John, and I'll be definitely talking to you about that too. It just probably won't be this month. So just know that I'm not ignoring it. I'll get to it. It'll probably be in November.
John, Rosalind, I understand this is the end of the federal year. This is when all the data overload for the next couple months. So thank you.
All right, do we make a motion to adjourn, or do we just adjourn?
I think you can just call it.
All right, I'm gonna adjourn this meeting till tomorrow for our second half. I'll see you all tomorrow. And thanks for coming and joining us and with all your great ideas. Thank you so much.
Thank you for chairing, Evander.
No problem.